Sit back.
Crack open your favorite brew, pour it in a frosty mug.
Hey, and join us for the next hour or so.
I'm Keith Davidson.
And I'm Papa Joey Stay.
And we're your hosts for The Truth About Beer and...
Yeah, we're a podcast and YouTube channel where we get to talk about all the crap that we're interested in.
And best of all, you get to do it while sharing a brew amongst friends.
Yes, and we're so excited about today's episode.
Yes, we are. We really hope you enjoy it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Autism. Autism is a complex neurobehavioral condition that includes impairments in social interaction and developmental language and communication skills combined with rigid, repetitive behaviors. Because of the range of symptoms, this condition is now called Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD. It covers a large spectrum of symptoms, skills, and levels of impairment. ASD ranges in severity from a handicap that somewhat limits an otherwise normal life to a devastating disability that may require institutional care. WebMD.
All right, welcome to episode 9. It's a very special episode.
Yes, it is.
Little departure from the norm a little bit. It's the truth about beer as root beer. That was a beautiful picture.
You said it's a depart from the norm. Do we have a norm?
No, we don't.
What is our norm?
Well, the departure is that it's root beer.
Oh, okay. That's sorry. So that I'll give you that. That is a departure.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about autism, and we had an opportunity. 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
We visited a haunted house that's dedicated to raising money for autism, and we'll have a short video that will be shown here in a little bit. But we have some special guests today. They're really special to me. Right here next to me is my daughter-in-law, Clarissa. And then you may remember Jay from episode 3 at the Gila County Jail.
That was fun.
We did have a good time.
We did have a good time.
And so with our root beers, we're going to toast to this episode.
Reach across the aisle.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's the clank you want. Cheers. I like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we're underway.
The ship has set sail. All right.
All right.
So welcome. Good to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, autism hits home for a lot of people. In my family, my cousin has a daughter who's autistic. So I know a little bit about it, but I'd definitely like to learn a little bit more, and I'm sure our audience would as well. So tell us a little bit about your story.
So our third child, we have 6. So our third child is high functioning autistic. And so he is 10 years old. And so we've been kind of familiar with this for a while, especially since it runs in my family. And I have siblings with autistic children as well.
Thank you for talking into the mic there.
Sorry, I turned again. I need a special mic.
Well, yeah.
What a special mic.
Well, these are special because these pick up from a long distance.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
I can tell. I can hear my baby crying already.
Yeah.
In the other room.
Yeah.
No, that's a beautiful sound.
It is a beautiful sound.
Not for mom.
Not for mom.
Never mind.
That's more like it.
So how long have you been working with autism?
Well, like I said, I have siblings with children that are autistic as well. So we were actually kind of tuned into some of the traits and characteristics early on. we actually started catching it when he was probably about 3 or 4 and he wasn't speaking at all. And so I say that a lot. And so
So it is.
and
So
let
it
it
is.
be.
Yeah.
So we caught on to it really early. His preschool teacher said that they suspected that he was that he was autistic spectrum disorder, and we actually just recently diagnosed him, even though we've known about it for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
So with I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But I was just say, so with the diagnosis, so then you're able to get
Certain services.
certain services
Mhm.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
Some services that he wasn't able to have until now.
Right.
So, yeah.
But because we caught it early on, we did start services early, even though we didn't have the diagnosis yet. They were able to catch it under our insurance under behavioral health rather than developmental, which is what autism actually falls under, is developmental health.
Right. So what's the difference, especially for our listeners that don't know, and I don't know, when you say high functioning, what is the difference between that and what would be the other extreme?
Okay, so
I
in
mean-
2013, they started to umbrella all autism spectrum disorder under one spectrum. And it used to be where they used to actually link it to schizophrenia, which has now been separated.
Right.
It's no longer considered the same thing. It used to be that high functioning was considered Asperger's syndrome. And when they changed the spectrum in 2013, they actually stopped diagnosing with that and just said high functioning or low functioning. For our son, I guess he would have been diagnosed as Asperger's syndrome. It's because their social behaviors, they don't catch social norms. They don't have quite the problem with like repetitive behavior and things like that, where with low functioning, sometimes that can happen as well.
So here we are in Queen Creek, Arizona, for the Haunted House for Autism. I'm here with Sammy.
Hi.
Thank you for having us out.
Thank
we appreciate
you for
it.
coming.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's a good cause, and I want to help support you guys. So
Appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about it, how you got started. And
Well, we first originally got started, my nephew, my sister Alex here, her son is autistic, and when that family got the diagnosis, it was devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a family member, I felt the only way that we could help was to help raise money for research and things like that. So I used to do, I work in a bar, and I used to beg and plead people for money at the bar, and then we'd go to the Phoenix Zoo Walk for Dr. John Adams, that he's a doctor at ASU, that's his once a year fundraiser. So we'd raise money for him, and then Autism Speaks. And then my sister started her own nonprofit organization called Treats for Treatments.
Very cool.
And it is based on the fact that she knows how costly it is for these families to pay for any kind of treatments, because especially biomedical treatments like supplements and vitamins and things like that. And the out-of-pocket cost is just extraordinary.
And it's a lifestyle change in itself, isn't it?
It truly is.
Yeah.
It truly is. And so as a family member, you just feel helpless because there's not really much that you can do with everything. So if we can help somehow, even just financially, just to ease the burden off of any family, that's what the whole goal is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so I would raise the money for those two organizations, and then my neighbor across the street here is the one that gave me the idea to start raising money through the haunted house here, because we started out really small. In fact, my husband Michael used to sit in the garage with a black sheet around him dressed as a clown, and the little kids had to come to him for candy.
Right.
Like it was funny. They would come up there and get the candy, but they'd come back down the driveway crying. It was funny. So anyway, it just kind of grew, and then we just kind of did like a little horseshoe shape through the garage one year, and that's when my neighbor said, "Hey, why don't you start charging people and raise money that way, just get donations?" So that's how we started out, and then it's just expanded and gotten bigger each year.
you have a growth.
I do have a growth. This is our youngest.
How did that happen?
But you knew that.
Seriously, I thought you were going to wake up the baby doing that.
It's a good thing she couldn't hear that.
I know, right?
Right?
Like, quiet, the baby's sleeping.
So where do we leave off?
Where were we?
We were talking, I believe, of how.
You're talking about
The different levels.
The different
of
levels
Oh
of
yeah, the
autism.
different
Yeah.
levels of autism.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't remember what I said. High functioning, low functioning.
high functioning, low functioning.
There used to be Asperger's syndrome, and they don't diagnose with that anymore, but they'll still use it in phrasing so that people know, like
Yeah.
what level you're talking about.
Yeah, if Michael was diagnosed during that time, he probably would have been put in as
As
Asperger.
an Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah, instead of being high functioning autistic.
Mhm.
So
But that was right when it got on our radar by the preschool of them suspecting that he was ASD. Was right when they kind of umbrellaed everything under the autism spectrum,
Right.
which even ADHD is on the autism spectrum.
So, is there? What type of diagnosis? How do they diagnose high functioning versus low functioning? Is there something physical you look for? Is it a
Yeah, there's several different traits and characteristics that are considered flags for autism. With our son, it's pragmatic language, which falls under social, and he has he does what they call as stimming, and stimming is like a repetitive behavior. It's kind of like when a teapot gets really built up full of pressure, they have to let that off somehow. So instead of steam, some kids will pace rooms, some of them will flap hands. I have a nephew that rocks.
Okay.
He's 18 and he still rocks to kind of stim. Michael chews on clothing.
okay?
And he does the
he does
pacing.
the pacing.
He does the pacing. So yeah, there are some physical things that you can kind of look for. They won't look people in the eye. They prefer to be alone a lot of the time, or they'll crave that social interaction. They just don't get how to do it, which is the case for our son. He tries really hard to connect with people and can't because he doesn't kind of get what the social norms are and what kind of to look for or talk about with people. Because
Right.
another thing that they do is they fixate on certain things. Like some kids, it'll be all about a certain subject like planets or nature, and they fixate on that, and that's all they can talk about. So they'll try to carry a conversation, but if it's not interesting to them, they'll just like turn and walk away.
Right.
And they don't get that is considered rude because they don't get those social nuances.
What What? Are you gonna say something? I didn't want to interrupt you if you were gonna
No,
say something. Oh, okay.
Like, does that
Okay.
remind you of anyone?
So, do you guys network with anybody that experience the same things that you can kind of bounce ideas off each other? Or is there a big network available for autistic families? I mean,
I think there probably is. We're not really familiar with a lot of them, just because I have so much family that I can talk to about it. Because, like I said, all my siblings have at least one child that has been diagnosed with autism. But I know there are social groups. I just haven't been able to connect with any of them because we didn't have that official diagnosis. And unfortunately, even if you know what you're looking at and you know what it is, a lot of services won't take you seriously unless you have that diagnosis. And in the Valley specifically, there's a shortage of people that can actually give that diagnosis without having to spend a lot of money to do
right.
it.
I think that's what they were saying at the haunted house too. That the cost can be really expensive, and that's why they do the fundraising.
Yeah,
that they do. So,
because I know with us recently getting the diagnosis, we had to pay out of pocket to get it
mhm.
because our insurance wouldn't cover it, at least through the facility that we went and had him evaluated.
Yeah, we were put on a wait list with the Phoenix Children's Hospital, and it's like a year and a half or something. Sorry.
Yeah, we were waiting for a long time just because of that shortage of, you can, to receive services, it has to be through a psychologist or a developmental pediatrician. And there's a shortage of those kind of professionals that can give the diagnosis.
Yeah.
25, 30 years ago, you didn't hear autism thrown around as much.
No.
So is it because they just didn't know what they were looking at? Would they would just call you schizophrenic back then? I mean, whether is that, you know?
I think so. Like a lot. I think when I was a kid, even there wasn't a lot of. You didn't hear autism very much unless somebody was more low functioning. I actually grew up with someone, he was severely autistic and had a hard time just even looking at people or being around them at all. I think like 50, 100 years ago, people just thought they were odd or they had some other issues. But autism actually first popped up in the early 1900s as an actual phrase. But again, it was linked to schizophrenia.
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that either. Didn't know that.
I'm trying to whisper. Don't want to wake up the baby.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how it's evolved into what it is now as far as the diagnosis and what they actually consider autism.
Yeah, because growing up, you never heard of it,
Right.
you know. And I read a lot more now, especially since I was studying a little bit in the medical field. You know, a lot of people are blaming the vaccinations for it.
Yeah, and that's been debunked.
And yeah, and I have mixed opinion on that too.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I was vaccinated as a kid, and everybody I grew up with was vaccinated as kids. You know.
Then you
So-
ended up with just one kidney.
Wow, that's true. That's true.
Why do you know so much about his kidneys?
Hey.
Awkward.
When you sit around and drink beer, you talk a
You
lot.
talk about a lot of different things. Let me tell you.
Makes
Did
sense.
you know this is only passing through one kidney? Little known fact.
In case you're wondering.
Well, my dad had 4 kidneys.
Really?
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, now we know what happened to yours.
That's that's impressive, actually.
Or should I? Milk it. Okay.
All right, stop it now.
Wake up the baby.
Yeah.
Now stop laughing. Don't do that. Don't get off on a tangent with laughing. We'll never regain ourselves again.
This is why I drink root beer, guys.
Right.
So,
Yeah, you did mention that you are the sober one of the
I'm
groups,
just
so
saying.
you know that's probably not far from the truth.
Yes, and so Jay, of course, is also our social our
Webmaster.
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 See, it's this root beer. It's got me all flustered.
Is it spiked?
Probably is
You
fine.
didn't tell us.
It's not, and that's the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah, it's actually really good root beer, though.
It's really
Yeah, it
good.
is good.
It's brewed. It's
Yeah.
actually a
Yeah.
brewed root beer.
And Virgil's is another good.
Yeah,
brewed
that's a
root
good one
beer.
too.
Do you know anything about Henry Weinhard?
Only what's written on the label.
Well,
Gourmet soda.
It had more information on the actual cardboard it came in.
oh, I didn't throw it away, so we could read about it, learn a little bit about it. Where's it brewed out of? Do we know? What does it say?
Everyone's got their bottles.
We're looking here. Oh, we always want to pass on the information that we know.
No.
Oh, it does not use sugar.
It's only 180 calories.
It's sucrose.
And there's no caffeine in it either.
Oh, great. Now we're all going to get cancer.
Because it uses sucrose.
Sucrose.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Thanks,
Fort Worth,
Jay.
God. Oh, we saw it at the same time?
What? Yeah.
All good. root beer
It's just
comes
the
from
tiny print.
Texas.
It is. It's so little.
Everything comes from Texas, right?
All good.
Everything's
root beer.
good, yeah.
Yeah, does Fort Worth ever cross your mind?
For what? Living? Or what?
No, it was George Strait.
Oh.
Never mind. I would like to encourage everybody, if they haven't had an opportunity, to go visit the haunted house for autism.
Absolutely.
It was a real fun night for us, and they did a heck of a job.
They did. And kind of scared me when I went through it. Not going to lie.
Yeah,
So-
I felt a little anxious when we were going through there.
Well, they wouldn't.
So-
Lindsay and I went through, and they wouldn't let us out. They kept making us go around in a circle, and they're like, "How do we get out of here?"
That's
And
awesome.
they're like, "You don't go that way." I'm like, "Okay, so how do we get out of here?" Finally, I just plowed my way through the door. I'm like, "I'm out of here."
Yes, but they do have a site or something you go to donate if you can't.
Yeah,
Go to the-
we'll put that link up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you can't make it down to the haunted house, you can donate money.
Yeah, all for a very good cause.
It's awesome.
Very good. You've been doing this, I think you said, for 5 years. This is your fifth
6 years. I've lost
6
count,
years?
to be
Oh,
honest.
okay.
To be honest with you, I know it's been at least 6.
You
but
notice every year it gets bigger and bigger, or
it has gotten bigger and bigger, and even the neighborhood itself has every year there's at least 100 to 200 more kids that come through.
Wow.
Just our neighborhood alone. We're a pretty tight knit community out here, and so we've been really blessed and humbled by the community support that we've had. It's been amazing.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
It's been amazing, and a lot of people that you saw that were here tonight have been here before and brought groups of people with them. So we've really relied on that word of mouth. I mean, I do a lot of Facebook, on our Facebook page, Haunted House for Autism. I do a lot of posting, boosting that way, but we also do flyering and posters. Local businesses have been really great about letting us do that.
That's
too.
awesome. That's incredible.
Even corporate places have let us do it.
Really?
So we've been really super blessed by it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So what does it cost to go
tonight, for our grand opening night, we were charging $2 per person.
Okay.
After tonight, it'll be $3 per person per entrance.
Okay.
And then we'll be open every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night through the October. And then the week of Halloween, I think Halloween's on Thursday this year, so I think we'll probably be open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday the week of Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah, so we try and get the week, it gets busier towards the end of the month. Like
Yeah, I'm
tonight's
sure.
our first night, so we never really know, because like last year we were like super late opening. We didn't get opened up until like almost mid-month.
Oh, okay.
So that really hurt us, because people were like, well, we didn't even think you guys were going to open.
Do it,
we were
yeah.
like, sorry, we're just, life happens. We were so far behind with everything. So
Right.
this year we really worked hard to make sure, like you were here, we were coming out, we were still working on
Yep,
technical
yep,
difficulties
yep.
inside
Of course,
the house itself.
that's always the way it works. But you guys had a pretty good turnout so far tonight.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's been
pretty-
amazing.
pretty
A lot
decent.
of them were return themed. One of the children that was coming through was actually autistic, and so we want everybody to be able to come in, all ages,
Right.
from little itty bitties to grandmas and grandpas. We want everybody to come out and have an inexpensive family
Yep.
fun time, and not and help a good cause.
And it's a
at the
great
same
cause,
time.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
one of the little boys that came through was actually autistic, and he went through like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, wow.
He had such a good time.
That's neat.
So we make accommodations for that.
Right.
We always warn that we have strobe lights in there, so some of the kids are susceptible for seizures
Seizure,
with that. But we'll have our actors that are on the inside stand still, so they're not popping out or spooking or scaring
Right.
any of the kids that are on the spectrum, so that they can have fun too.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Very cool. So if people want to donate to the organization, do you have a separate donate button on your page or anything like that?
I do.
Can they go to?
I do.
Okay.
You should be able to, if you go onto our Facebook page, Haunted House for Autism, you should be able to see. They let you put a donate button on there, and it'll say for treatsfortreatments.org. It
Okay,
should have
perfect.
a donate button on there somewhere.
Yeah, and we've
Yeah.
shared the website on our site, so
Oh,
people can have
awesome,
access to
yeah,
it through us
yeah.
as well. So
Yeah. So, and my sister, who's in charge of that, is she's done and helped some families here locally and out of state, but mostly it stays local. There's an event that another person puts on called Surfing with Nixon,
Okay.
and they rent one of the water slide parks,
Mm-hmm.
and they have people come out and teach the kids on the spectrum how to surf.
Oh,
And my
that's-
nephew gets to do it. That's one of his favorite things to do, is go out. So she sponsored a couple of kids to go through and do that.
oh, that's
too.
great. That's awesome.
So we want, it's not just about we want them to have some fun and stuff
Right,
too.
right.
So yeah,
Well, that's incredible. That's awesome. Well, yeah, make sure you guys get down here.
yeah, we'd
It's
love
very
to have
inexpensive
you
to come
out.
through. It's for a
Yeah.
good cause, and we'll be here. We'll be here all night.
Awesome.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting you.
You too.
And
thank
you again
so
for
much.
letting us
We
come out.
appreciate all the help.
Not a
We
problem.
do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have no
My
baby.
root beer is full.
We need the Star Trek transporter sound again.
Get that little effect right there where it says
Yeah,
coming
this is only,
Beam me up, Scotty.
So what I was saying about Michael is he has ADHD and high functioning autism. And originally they didn't think that those two could coexist. And so with Michael, a lot of people don't see the autism because all they see is the ADHD first. And the developmental pediatrician that we got him diagnosed through said if we ended up medicating his ADHD, a lot of those characteristics from the autism would end up surfacing more.
Yeah.
But they do have very similar traits, the high functioning autism and the ADHD. So it was important that we got him evaluated so they could separate those out for us.
Yeah. Oh, we learned actually something pretty cool about his diagnosis. Now he's in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be going to junior high soon, and I'm scared to death about him going to junior high because with him, everything is literal. He doesn't understand
everything is
sarcasm.
very black and white for
doesn't-
autistic kids.
Doesn't pick any of that up right there. And so we found out that now he has the diagnosis. We can actually, though they gave us a list of schools that cater towards autism,
Yeah.
and that the state has to pay X amount of dollars for each student.
Basically like a
Like
scholarship.
a scholarship.
Right.
We can tell them to put that money towards this school because that's where he's going to be going, and he can have that type of a, there she is again.
There it is. What's cool about it though is because they have fixations. Like with Michael, he's really into computers, and he can navigate a computer better than most adults can, and at a very early age. In fact, he was texting and writing texts in my phone to people before he was even talking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so what's cool about these different schools that cater to these kids that have diagnoses is that you can get scholarships for them to help cultivate whatever strong suits they have, like computer science and things like that.
And she would probably really excel in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little bugger was able to factory
So there-
reset my Kindle at 3 years old when it was locked.
Yeah, when it was
Wow.
locked,
It was
password
completely
locked.
Password locked.
And he found a way around it and did a whole factory
Wow.
reset on it.
Wasn't he disassembling things too, or taking things apart?
Not really. It's always been electronics. He's known how they work, how to do settings. In fact, his teacher, if she's having trouble with her computer, she always asks Michael, and he can usually fix it.
Yeah.
Which is
That's-
funny
that's
because we
impressive.
limit his screen time at home because he kind of becomes a jerk, for lack of a better word.
He gets moody.
Yeah, he gets really moody when he spends too much time on a screen.
Right. So what advice would you guys give to other parents that are just finding out a diagnosis or just learning
I
to deal
think
with
the
it?
biggest thing is don't look at it as an illness because it's not an illness.
It's not.
It for me personally, and I know this is kind of trivial, is I don't like when people say that their child has autism or their child developed autism because it's not really something that they get, it's something that they are. And so it's important to kind of look at your child that my child is autistic, this is who they are, they process information differently, and so that you learn to work with them rather than trying to fix them.
Right.
No. I agree.
Because it's something they're going to have forever or be forever.
Right. Right. And it's just who they are.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, you know.
Well, thank you for being with
Yes,
us.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing
Thank you
your
for
information
having
with
us.
us.
Sorry about a little one crying out there. She's with grandma, so it's
We
not
didn't just
surprising.
leave her in a cradle somewhere or in her car seat.
She just wants her mama right now. So
Oh,
Well, so this has been the truth about root beer, and
autism,
well, as far as we know.
as far as we know.
So till next time. Cheers.
cheers.
Oh, ding, ding, ding.
truth about beer.